Hi guys, this is Jen Sebring and I am going to be showing you how to create your own custom eye brush. I typically use this for portraits. I don't really use it on photos that are far away or photos of action, anything like that, just because it's a little time consuming to go brush it on all of the eyes. But I do use this all the time whenever I do portraits, and those details in the eyes, the catch lights, the brightness is really important. So here is how to create your own custom eye brush. The first thing we are going to do is go into the develop module, and we're going to click on the brush tool. Now make sure that you have a photo selected where you can actually focus on the eyes. Now typically the reset button resets all of the settings. For some reason this isn't working. Maybe I need to update, I'm not really sure, I'm not going to look into it now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one of these top pre-made brushes, like temperature, something that only one thing is adjusted, and I'm going to go to that one thing that's adjusted, and in this case it's the temperature, and I'm going to double click on temperature just so that it resets. You want all of these to be at 0 to start. Then I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on the eyes just so I can paint them, and I'm going to click Show Selected Mask Overlay. When this is selected, I can see exactly where I'm making my selections. And I'm just going to paint the eyes. Now in this case, I used a brush that was highly feathered. I like to use highly feathered. I don't want the harsh lines. High flow and about 66 density, which is what I like to do. I don't want it to be like just on full blast. So I'm using a brush that I would typically use so that I don't have to completely change up the brush every time I use this specific homemade brush. All right, so now that I've got that selected, I'm gonna go back to a one-to-one view so that I can just kind of see at 100% what that's gonna look like, and I'm going to unclick Show Selected Mask Overlay. Now I'm going to start making adjustments. Now the adjustments that I make for the eye brush are, I start out with sharpness, and I'm going to increase it so that I see a change, but so that this change isn't dramatic. Like, I don't want to just completely blow out and have the eyes look super creepy and fake, but I do want to make them look crisp and pop. The next one that I like to use is highlights and whites, because you want to increase the whites in the catch lights and highlights of the eyes. So I'm going to increase the whites a little bit. And this is just an eyeball, and we're going to go back and turn it on and off so that we can really see what we've done. And then I'm going to increase the highlights a little bit because there are highlights in the iris of the eye. Then I'm going to go down to clarity, and I'm going to use clarity just a little bit. If you use clarity too much, which I'll show you, it makes the darks too dark and it completely changes her eye color. So just a little bit will darken that outside, but it'll also brighten the whites. And then you can also use contrast for this a little bit. And then I can lower the blacks just to make them pop just a little bit more. So now that I've got the eye brush completed, I think that looks good for now, but I want to turn it on and off to really see what difference it made. Because I want the difference to be subtle, but still impactful. So I'm going to click on my history brush, and I'm going to go all the way back to before I added the brush. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to zoom in on the eye, and if you watch just the eye, you can see what difference that made. Now I'm going to back up and look at it and see again, this is with it off, this is with it on. I like that subtlety. I'm going to go through and add just a little bit more on the whites because I want those a little bit more dramatic, and a little bit of the highlights up a little bit more. And now I'm going to turn it off and on and see. There. All right. Now I'm going to back up. Yep, that looks beautiful. And it doesn't look too fake. All right, so now that I've got that brush how I want it, I am going to create a custom brush so that I can have this already pulled up next time and then just make minor tweaks to it. So I'm going to click on this up and down arrow next to custom, slide all the way down to the end, and I'm going to click Save Current Settings as a new preset. I am going to label this eye brush, or whatever you want to name it. I'm going to click Create, and then when I want to go in and use that brush, I click on brushes, and right here I use eye brush and paint it on. If the brushes are changed, it's going to make it less and more. So just be aware of that. But anytime you use this, that brush is going to be preset, and then you can just go in and make small tweaks. All right, guys, I hope that helped.